Hello everyone, and welcome to another one of my lives. My name is Jackie. If you've never come across one of my videos before, let me just give you a little bit of an intro as to what I do here on YouTube. Um, I want to help people recover from emotional abuse or narcissistic abuse, um, build confidence, build self-esteem, set boundaries, recognize toxic behavior, and learning to separate and stay away from toxic behavior and toxic people, and just how to live your best life and how to crush limiting beliefs and be your best self from the inside. Um, so yeah, if you like that type of content, please stay tuned for the rest of the video. And in today's video, I'll be discussing gaslighting, what it is, what gaslighting behavior looks like, how it affects you, and how you can put an end to it. And obviously, essentially, heal from any effects that the gaslighting might have on you. But before we get into all of that, um, I want to briefly explain what gaslighting is and where the name comes from. So, gaslighting is essentially a covert form of manipulation that abusive types like to use, especially in relationships. This form of manipulation leaves the victim questioning their sanity and feeling like they're losing their mind essentially, and don't know what is real anymore. They believe that they can't trust themselves and often think they have a mental illness or some sort of mental disability because they have been made to believe that their perception of reality does not match. It's not true. It's not what really is real. So what you're seeing is not true. So therefore you think you're going crazy, right? You think you're losing it. But I can see with my own two eyes. I can see this happening. But you have someone telling you, no, that's not true. That's not what's happening. So you think, am I losing it? And you stop trusting yourself because clearly I'm not seeing things straight. Clearly I don't have the ability to see things the way that they are. So that is essentially what gaslighting is. The term gaslighting comes from a movie from 1944 titled Gaslight. In this movie, a man manipulates his trusting wife into thinking she's going crazy and can no longer trust her own perception of reality. In one scene in the movie, the husband uh, makes the gas lights in the attic flicker by turning them on. And when the wife asks why the gas lights are flickering, he denies it and says, no, that's not happening. That's not true. It's all in your head. And so this is where the term gaslight comes from. It's pretty interesting, actually. I haven't seen the movie, but I actually want to watch the movie. Yeah, I think it will be a really good watch. Let me know in the comments if any of you have ever seen this movie. But I've heard so much about it, but I definitely would like to see it. Yeah. So, what exactly does gaslighting behavior look like? How do you know if you're being gaslighted or if someone is manipulating you? Well, here are some things that you need to be on the lookout for. So, if you suspect that someone is gaslighting you, ask yourself this: are they constantly undermining or denying your feelings? Like what you feel isn't real, even though you know your feelings better than anyone else, right? You know how you feel, but then someone's telling you that no, that's wrong. How would they know what you feel? When someone belittles or disregards your feelings, they might call you too sensitive or overreacting for having actual, real, appropriate emotions for the situation. So, for example, a partner denies cheating on you, even though you have proof and concrete evidence that you approach them with, and they say, no, you're imagining things, you're going crazy, you're too sensitive, blah, 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 or accuse you of having a wild imagination or making things up. They might make you question your recollection of events, right? Yeah, they might make you question your recollection of events. Um, they'll make statements like, are you sure that happened? You're just making things up. You're being so dramatic. Did that really happen? right? Even though they weren't there, but somehow, cause you to second guess yourself. Like, "What? Am I overreacting? Am I?" You know what I mean? Um, and you were there. You probably know what happened. It happened to you. Yet somehow, they question the events that you were present for. But they also, this is another one that I've noticed as well. They pretend to not understand what you're saying, your point of view, or refuse to engage in a conversation with you. For example, if you call them out on something that they might be doing, they'll say, "I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're just trying to confuse me." You know, even though it is something solid that you've brought up, um, and they would just pretend like, "Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't see that," even though it's right there. The evidence is right there. They could even deny that something happened, pretend that they forgot about it, um, or refuse to say something that they did. Some refuse, uh, deny something that they did or say in the past, and accuse you of making things up, even though you know that. Let's say an example. Why did you take my car last night? Last night I didn't take you. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, like for a fact it happened. You saw them with your own eyes, and yet they will just blatantly deny that it ever happened. And this is a pattern I see with gaslighting. It's essentially the denial of reality, right? Someone is trying to make you bend to their version of reality, so they deny what is real. They deny actual reality, so their perception becomes your reality. So essentially, you're living in their world. You're not living in the real world anymore. You're living in this person, the gaslighter's world. That is essentially what they're trying to do. So they will deny things they said, they did, deny your perception of things, how things went down, even though they weren't there. They could have gone to a friend's wedding and tell them a story of how something happened. Oh, there was a fight that broke out, and they'd be like, "Are you sure that's what happened? Aren't you making things up? You're being dramatic. You're being too sensitive." They weren't there, but you were there. Yet they somehow can deny that because, right, they want you to fall into their version of reality. They want to change your perception to essentially drive you crazy. So they also another thing they like to do is change the focus of a conversation to attack you instead and make you second guess or question your own credibility. For example, they might say, again, you're making things up, or it's just another one of your crazy ideas, or who did you get that from? So you have an idea like, oh, how about we paint this room this color? And then they'll say, oh, that's a crazy idea. Wait, who did you get that from? You stole that idea from someone, right? You probably saw it on YouTube or something, and now you want to copy that. Statements like that. This is another one I've seen a lot of. Where yeah, they make you deny your credibility. You come up with this awesome, amazing idea, and they will just chop it down like, it wasn't your idea. We took it from somewhere else. Someone, oh, that's a stupid idea. That's a dumb idea. Who would say that? You know what I mean? That's a huge one they like to use. They also use negative stereotypes of people. So like this could be your race, your gender, ethnicity, religious background, nationality, sexuality, age, anything like that. They will use whatever negative stereotypes is attached to that to sort of label you with or label people with. For example, like, why are you being too sensitive? Ah, women are always so emotional. And I've seen this a lot as well. Like gaslights and manipulative people or abusive, narcissistic, emotional abusers. They live off of stereotypes. I've met someone who every second word he says is a stereotype. It's just he took every view he has about someone is a stereotype about the person, well, depending on their nationality, um, their age, where they come from, their race, even things like people who are good looking or people who are tall or people who are short. He just everything they say is a stereotype of the person. They don't take any time to really figure out what the person is about. Oh, they don't want to. They want to change their perception or discredit you by attaching every single negative stereotype attached to your specific demographic and say this is what you are. I've seen this so many times. Gaslighters love to attach, see people. point out people's stereotypes and make it a fact about that person and use that to discredit people. So, so then how does gaslighting affect you? Especially if you've been in a relationship with someone who gaslights for a really long time, and maybe they're a friend or a coworker or a family member, and you spend a lot of time with this person or you've spent a lot of time with them, it can have a lot of negative effects on you. For one, you think your perception of reality is false. Um, you don't trust what you see, you don't trust your own judgment, and this creates a lot of anxiety because you don't know what is real anymore. If I can't trust myself, what can I trust? Who can I trust, right? Um, you're always confused and second guessing yourself. Um, or maybe you think you're too sensitive because remember I mentioned before how um, gaslighters like to make you think that you're overreacting or you're being too sensitive when you have appropriate reactions to things. So the gaslighter will take something of yours, something that belongs to you, without asking for you for permission. And then when you call them out on it and you try to, you know, tell them that's wrong, you shouldn't do that, you should have asked. Like, oh, you're being too sensitive. Stop being dramatic. So you start thinking, so when that happens a lot of times, you start thinking, am I too sensitive? You even start almost holding back your emotions and trying not to overreact or give a reaction or letting people walk all over you because you think that having a reaction makes you too sensitive, right? You try to be unbothered and try to be as stoic as possible because having any human emotion is viewed as too sensitive. This is another, this is a huge thing I've also seen. So it can be really like, it can be really hurtful because you don't feel like you can express yourself a lot for fear of being judged, being overreactive and too sensitive. You also stop trusting yourself and your own judgment. You stop listening to your feelings and your intuition because you have been convinced you're wrong. You can't trust yourself. What you see isn't reality. And this is done to make you dependent on the, I was about to say the narcissist, but yes, essentially the narcissist too. But to make you dependent on the gaslighter, right? Because they want to make you their puppet. They want to conquer you in a way. So they do this by altering your perception of reality to make you distrust yourself and trust them. And another thing they do is they make you distrust everyone as well. So they'll remember we talked about the stereotypes. They'll use stereotypes of people to discredit them and make them seem bad. So let's say you have a friend who's of a different race. They will use that person's whatever negative stereotypes that person's race has to make you distrust them and to sort of create a bridge between you and that person to isolate you. And they will do that with the people around you. They will isolate you from everyone. And so now you feel like you can't trust the people around you. You can't trust yourself. The only person you can trust is the gaslighter. And that is the point. That's the whole point of this. Um, so in the process, they also create a lot of shame within the victim. A lot of shame and guilt, which leads to low self-esteem, no confidence. Uh, you may find it difficult to even make the smallest decisions. Uh, you become withdrawn and antisocial again because of the whole isolating you from everyone else. Um, and sometimes because you get to a stage where you feel like if this is like someone you spent a lot of time with, you feel like this is the only person you can trust. And you can't trust yourself, you can't trust your friends, your family, the people that you were once close with. The only person you can trust is the, again, I was about to say narcissist, but yes, the narcissist, the emotion abuser, the abusive person, the gaslighter. So you end up defending their abusive behaviors. You label their toxicity or just ignore the red flags because they've put it in your mind that they're the only person that you can trust. You can't trust anyone else. And so not only does it isolate you from the people who can help you, it closes you in that the only person you can trust is probably the last person you should trust. It creates low self-esteem, a lot of helplessness, no joy in life, because yeah, you're miserable. You become miserable. Cause a lot of anxiety, depression, psychological trauma, um, especially if this is the abuse that keeps happening this is attached to someone like an emotional abuser or narcissistic abuse. This is part of that, and it's happening over a long period of time. Can create CPTSD. So much can go on. So much can be done. You know, all of this can lead to extremely affect your mental health and add to low self-esteem. Uh, it also makes it difficult, especially if you're in a relationship with a gaslighter. Make it extremely difficult for you to leave the relationship, because you feel like it's wrong, but also it's not wrong. You feel like you're the only person you can trust, but then also you can't trust anyone else. Um, yeah, so just a lot happens and it affects you severely, and it's hard for people to, especially if you've been this for a long, if you've been in this situation for a long time, or this is someone you've trusted for a while. It's hard to recognize the signs sometimes. But also, it is quite easy at the same time once you're aware what gaslighting is, and you almost have awareness to it. And when you're with them in a situation, you can see this gaslighting behavior as it goes down. So definitely, learning more about gaslighting and emotional abuse and, and manipulative tactics will help you in the long run, because you'll be able to recognize and spot this abusive behavior, and stop enabling it and shut it down, and just let go of people like this. So how do you shut it down, right? For one, I would say it is crucial to keep track of events, situations, things that happened, things they've said, things they've done. Keep track of all of that, either in like a secret diary, maybe voice memos, maybe take pictures, something like that. That keep some sort of proof, especially if this person has been known to deny certain things. So, for example, if you're in a relationship and they're cheating, and you know they're cheating, and they denied time and time again. So collect your proof, write down things that he's done or she's done that that might lead you to suspect that they're cheating, coming in late, um, secretly texting people, things like that, or any evidence you find, take pictures, voice memos, and you can even send this to someone you trust, like a friend or a family member, just as backup, just in case something happens to your evidence. Or you can even just talk to said friend or family member, talk to them, you know, tell them how things happen, so that this can kind of help you validate your own experience, your own point of view, and say, yes, I saw this. This did happen. I'm not going crazy. I'm not losing my mind. I'm not imagining things. This is how it happened. I know it happened like this. So, yeah, keep track of things, especially if it's a certain topic that this person has been known to deny a lot, and you know for a fact that you're right, you're onto something. Keep track of things. Another important thing is, again, if you spend a lot of time with someone who gaslights, you need to recover from the effects of gaslighting, the long term effects. So you need to learn how to trust yourself again. Um, this will help you in making decisions, learning to trust people, the right kind of people, um, removing self doubt, learn to recognize these abusive patterns so that you can free yourself from it. Because most of us, right, if you grew up in an environment where this sort of gaslighting, manipulation, or abuse was the norm, you might think, well, this is exactly what this is. It's normal. This is what happens. This is how people live life. But you don't know that, no, it actually isn't normal, and this is not how relationships should be. So if there's elements of that, then maybe you may need to go to some sort of like trauma counseling, or try to heal from any sort of past um, emotional abuse, neglect, anything that could have happened in childhood that could have made you sort of an easy target for a person like this, made you believe, in the gaslighter, or make you ignore red flags and see red flags and toxic um, traits as normal. Because a person who grew up in a healthy environment, right, when they see this sort of toxic behavior, and I'm not saying that the only people who can be gaslighted are those who grew up with like emotional trauma. No, but I'm saying it's easier for people who did grow up in sort of unhealthy situations to stick around with an abusive, manipulative person like this because it's what they know. They're used to it. They're okay with it. But a person who didn't, this sort of thing is very uncomfortable. It's weird. It's strange. It doesn't feel good. I'm not used to it, so I'm out. I'm running. So if there's any elements of that to this, please, I urge you to look into that and try to sort of recover and heal from any sort of childhood or emotional neglect, emotional abuse, anything that might have happened in your childhood, which would make you an easy target for a manipulative person like this. You need to stop blaming yourself as well. Another thing that's important, we sometimes take on things that people have done. Like, if only I hadn't been like this, if only I hadn't. But sometimes you just don't know, and you're not responsible for people's toxicity. You're not responsible for the way people behave or act in life. So do not take that on. Um, we'll all have a duty to, try and be better people. And if someone doesn't want to, if someone takes the other route, that is not on you. If someone chooses to hurt people and be toxic and stay in that energy, that is not on you, even if they hurt you, right? It's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. So do not internalize that, do not personalize that. Let them go, and stop blaming yourself. Your duty is to healing yourself, learning about these things so you can recognize it and you can shut it down, and you can let go of people who display toxic gaslighting behavior, so you can surround yourself with trustworthy, honest people. Also, yeah, a good thing would be to build self-esteem and confidence and trust yourself, so that when someone tries to come and deny your reality, you can stand firm and say, no, I know who I am. I'm worthy, I am enough, and I trust myself, I trust my opinion, I trust what I saw, and so I'm not going to believe you over myself because I know myself, and I know I'm the type of person who's trustworthy and I should listen to first before anyone else. So yeah, and lastly, educate yourself in gaslighting and manipulation so you can spot this behavior ahead of time and put an end to it, shut it down, and sort of create a barrier. Even if you can't shut it down, even if it's someone you work with, let's say, and you have to constantly be with them, you learn not to trust them and create a sort of distance between you and them. They're not someone you go to confide in because you know they were just going to feed you a bunch of rubbish. So yeah, these are all very important things that um, you would need to look into. But and good luck if you're dealing with someone like this, especially like in a relationship. Good luck, and I wish you all the best. And it can be so hard, especially at the beginning stages when you don't really know what's going on. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It does get better, especially once you recognize this behavior, once you know who these people are, what they do, and of course start learning to trust yourself and your opinions, and you you feel better because you know this person is just a liar and a manipulator, and I shouldn't have anything to do with that with them. I should distance myself. And when you get to that stage, it's really good because you're almost healing and recovering from any effects you might have from being in the situation that really messed with your mind. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I go live next. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.